but for the...
I'll turn the microphone on, and then people will be able to hear me. Yes, now it's louder. But now you'll probably be able to hear me on the live stream, and we are thrilled that you are here. And if you want to join us, if you have your own prayer book, wonderful. If you're looking for a virtual one, then we have a brand new website. So it's a new spot on the website. So you go to the top left corner, like the drop-down menu, and then there's a big button for prayer. And if you hit the prayer button, it'll take you to a nice picture, actually, of Kenter Muchnick. And,
oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. And below a nice picture of Kenter Muchnick, there's a little paragraph that says, if you'd like to follow along in our virtual prayer book, hit here, and it'll take you to a website to get the virtual prayer book. So then you'll be able to join us virtually, not just like this, but also with the prayer book. So we're going to start with Modeh Ani on page 170.
Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechezarta binishmati b'chemla rabba emunatecha Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechezarta binishmati b'chemla rabba emunatecha. See, on Zoom, couldn't do that because there's a delay. So if I did that and I went like this, it'd be silence. So now we can do it.
Also wouldn't know who you're pointing at.
This is true.
On Zoom. We'd be like, who's he pointing at? Is it me? Is it me? Is it me? Is something on my face? Oh, now it's a mask. We continue with Psukei de Zimra, our morning verses of praise, 183.
Baruch she'amar v'haya ha'olam, Baruch hu, Baruch oseh v'reshit, Baruch omer ve'oseh, Baruch gozer u'mkayem, Baruch merachem al ha'aret, Baruch merachem al habriot, Baruch meshalem sachar tov v'yireyav, Baruch chai la'ad v'kayam la'netzach, Baruch podeh u'matzil, Baruch Shemo. Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be. Blessed is the one. Blessed is the one who continually authors creation. Blessed is the one whose word is deed. Blessed is the one who decrees and fulfills. Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards the world. Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards all creatures. Blessed is the one who rewards the reverent. Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring. Blessed is the one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot.
Continue with the words of Shochen Ad, right in the middle of page 192.
Shochen ad marom v'kadosh shemo v'chatuv ranenu tzadikim ba'Adonai laisharim navatehila befi sharim titahla uvdivrei tzadikim titbarach ובלשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש, ובמקהלות רבבות, עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר, שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול, והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, ברוך אתה, אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודעות, אדון הנפלאות, הבוחר בשירי זמרה, מלך אלכי העולמים. יתקדע ויתקדע שמי רבה, בעולמה תברכי רצה וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה, ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם לעולמי יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה, מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, Damiran be'alma ve'imeru. Amen.
And now we stand for the Baruch Hu on page 195.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Le'olam va'ed.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור וחושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. Continue with Ahava Rabbah, top of page 198.
Ahava Rabbah Haftanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola V'Tera Chamalta Aleinu Ba'avur Avoteinu Ve'imoteinu Shebatchu V'cha V'talmedeim Chukei Chaim V'ha'ereinu b'toratecha V'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha V'yachel levaveinu V'yahava u'lira et shemecha V'lo nevosh V'lo nikalem V'lo nikashel Le'olam va'ed Ki b'shem kol shecha Hagadol v'hanora b'hatachnu Nagila v'nismecha Nagila v'nismecha B'shuatecha Baruch atah Adonai הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה.
200.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
201.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף בטיל תכלת. והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet. We continue now with our Song of Redemption, Mi Chamocha. That's on page 204.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסיף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסיף אלה. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות תוסיף אלה, נורא תהילות תוסיף אלה. שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך שפתיים, יחד כולם הודו, והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופתח עמך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Continue with the Amidah, 205.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Komel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevii Geulah Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Bezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בגבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Kedusha 208.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לא ימוש לעולם ועד. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We take some time now for our own silent prayers, thoughts, and meditations, beginning here on page 210, going through page 219, and when you are finished, please be seated.
Ve'al kulam, ve'al kulam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, yitbarach ve'yitromam, Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Le'olam Vaen Me'al Kulam Me'al Kulam Yitbarach Ve'yitromam Yitbarach ve'yitromam Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Le'olam Vaen V'chol ha'chaim Yodu Chasela V'hallelu Et Shimcha be'emet Ha'el Yeshuateinu Me'ezrateinu Ezrateinu Selah Ve'al kulam Ve'al kulam Yitbarach Ve'yitromam Yitbarach Ve'yitromam Shimcha Malkeinu Tamid Le'olam Vaen Baruch Ata Adonai Hatov Shimcha Hatov Shimcha Ulecha Na'el Lehodot.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the Shabbat, the service for reading the Torah. It's actually a Torah. Right here, it's sitting right there. It's unrolled to the spot. We're actually going to physically see the Torah today, which is exciting. For this group particularly, it's been, how long?
17 months.
17 months since we've been able to collectively see this Torah on Shabbat morning, so it's pretty fabulous. So we continue, 244.
Ein kamocha va'elohim Adonai, vein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch, Le'olam va'ed, Adonai os le'amo yitein, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Please stand.
Al harachamim heitiva v'rtzoncha et Zion. Tivnei chomot
246.
Ki mitzion tetze Torah, ki mitzion tetze Torah, udvar Adonai mirushalayim.
248.
Baruch
Shenatan
Torah,
Torah.
Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo, Gadol Adonai Iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav.
We're getting closer and closer to, we're not going to walk around with Torahs yet and do all that stuff and get near everyone and pass the Torah, but we're here, Torah's out, we're going to take these nice steps, and so God willing, we'll be able to eventually pull the Torah out like we're supposed to, walk around with it, hand it around, everyone be able to kiss it, but we're going to keep a little bit of the physical distancing this morning. All right. So we are going to continue with a little Torah study now. So swap books. You should have the Torah book. If you don't, they are in the back, just outside. They're big and blue and say Torah on them. So you should be able to identify them. We are in the Torah portion of Ki Tetzeh. Ki Tetzeh, which begins in Deuteronomy 21:10. No. Yes. Deuteronomy 21:10. Deuteronomy 21:10. 21:10. 21:10. Chapter 21 in Deuteronomy, verse 10. And we're back. And we're back to pages. And we're back. Love it. It's like we never left. Only we haven't been here. So we kind of also left. All right, let's do our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Yes, here we are. I'm so excited. We're going to be in person to do this. I'm so excited. Those of you, hi, Shabbat Shalom. Those of you who are on the live stream, hope you find your spot. Now, if you have a Torah at home, wonderful. If you don't, there are a lot of sites that provide you with the Torah. So my favorite is Sefaria, sefaria.com. So if you want to go to sefaria.com, they will have the Torah portion for you, so you could do that. Yes? What's that? Dot, is it ORG? Yeah, it's ORG. All right, thank you. So, yeah, sefaria.org, thank you. So that is a great source. If you wish to go to other more traditional sites, you can go to chabad.org, chabad.org. They will also have the text for you virtually if you don't have a physical book. I'll recommend going to CCAR Press, which is the Reform Movement's press, and buying your own either Torah book or Bible. So happy to talk about that with anyone who is out in the virtual world and looking for a piece of text. Hello. All right. So we are in Kitetse, and we are not going to start at the beginning. We are going to try, I am going to try, me, not us, to keep it, we're practicing a little bit because eventually we're only going to have about a half an hour for our Torah study section. So I am practicing. We will all try to keep it in about a half an hour time block of our discussion. Thank you. Yes, I have not been successful to do so yet in any of our Torah studies thus far. You said nothing. Muchnik, you said nothing. All right, so it's 9:10. Let's see if we can do it in about 30 minutes. So we're not going to start at the beginning. Actually, we're going to start in chapter 22. So rather than so it's just chapter 22:1. So you shouldn't be that far away in your books. 22:1, chapter 22:1. This, by the way, is the Torah portion that has the most commandments in it. So how many commandments are there in the Torah? 613. So there are 74 of the 613 are in this Torah portion. So what's that math? What's the percent? Someone's good at math. Great. Well, that was very good. So about 14%. That would have taken up my whole half an hour for us to figure out that math. So I'm happy that someone else did. So it's about 14% of all of the commandments are in this Torah portion. You already look puzzled. Ian.
Maimonides says there's
72
72.
what?
Mitzvot.
72 mitzvot. What? In here? In here? All right. So there are some more traditional sides that say 74. Some say 72. So we'll do 13.5%. Is where we'll go with it. Yes, there are 72 or there are 74. So there are a lot of the commandments all in this Torah portion. We are going to look at one, particularly for as long as we can, and then if we need to switch, then don't worry, there's more. So we'll be able to switch. So we're on 22, and we're going right from the beginning. You ready? Yeah, people should be able to hear. Yeah, just try really loudly. We're starting on 22:1. So if those of you in live stream land.
If you see your fellow Israelites' ox or sheep gone astray, do not ignore it. You must take it back to your peer. If your fellow Israelite does not live near you, or you do not know who the owner is, you shall bring it home, and it shall remain with you until your peer claims it. Then you shall give it back. You shall do the same with that person's ass. You shall do the same with that person's garment. And so too shall you do with anything that your fellow Israelite loses and you find. You must not remain indifferent.
One more verse.
If you see your fellow Israelite's ass or ox fallen on the road, do not ignore it. You must raise it together.
Okay. So what do we have here? What's going on in 22:1 through 4? And I want you to be extremely picky. So I want you to, because I want you to know that from these 4 verses, there are volumes of text from these 4 verses in other Jewish texts. So there's a whole piece of the Mishnah and a whole piece of the Talmud just called Baba Metzia, for instance. That if you lost something, it's a whole book based on these 4 verses. So get really picky with each of the words from verses 1 through 4 in chapter 22. Susie, your hand was up.
No, I was going to say when I first was introduced to Gemara classes, we did Bava Metzia.
Yeah, it's a good place to start. When you first start learning about Mishnah or Talmud, it's usually Baba Metzia is a good place to start because everyone can connect to the fact that you've lost something, right? Who here has lost something before? Great. What's the feeling you feel the second you realize you lost it? there's like, try and like identify that feeling. What's the feeling of that second you realize it's lost? Yeah?
I think like a sinking in the pit of my stomach.
Yeah, it's like a sinking, right? You're like, oh my gosh. Right? Particularly the more valuable, meaning either money-wise or valuable to you personally, right? So they work either way. Maybe it costs, maybe it's literally something that is worth nothing. Maybe a piece of fabric that's passed down from generation to generation, a yarmulke, a yad, a candle, like anything can be passed down, as opposed to maybe like a diamond, a ring, a bracelet, a watch, right? Those things you suddenly also, they have a financial value, but you also have that sinking, yeah? Thank you, yes. Right. Excellent. Excellent. So it is not, I'm just going to reiterate for those who maybe didn't hear you, right, that this is, you said, a profound piece of text in that it's not the usual finders, keepers, losers, weepers. It's the opposite of that it's not finders, keepers necessarily, that you have a sudden obligation about this. Yeah?
What I was going to say is we have a responsibility to take care of this, whatever item it is that we have found, and hope that we can find the person to whom it belongs. And until we do, we have to make sure that it's in good hands.
Right. Okay, so I want to come back to that in a second. So hold on to that really, really good statement about the fact that we have to take care of the object that we find in a second. Yeah, Harry. Yeah. Very interesting. So good, thank you. I wanted to be very, very detailed, right? It says, what does it say in your translation? Yours says peer. Does yours say peer? What's that? Fellow. Yours says fellow. What does yours say, Harry? Israelite. All right. So Israelite is, so in Hebrew it says achicha, which means like your brothers. So it's like almost like your family's thing. So, but now that begs the question, which is a great question. Are we then not obligated for someone we don't know? Or is it someone, right? So this was clearly written by Jews for Jews, right? So does this apply to someone who is not Jewish? And so how do you know in your neighborhood if you see a fallen ox or something fallen? Like, okay, first of all, let me knock on the door and say, excuse me, are you Jewish? And then if I find out that you're not, I'm like, never mind, have a good day. Or do you say, oh, you're Jewish? Oh, good. In that case, your ox is running loose in the yard, right? So that seems a little bit crazy. But the text does say achicha. So the text does say, if we want to go literal on the text, it says, your person, like your kin, your fellow, right? Because my English also says fellow. Yeah. Ah, yes. So it also says if you don't know who owns it, whose obligation is it to take care of it? Yours. It's still your problem. It's still your problem to take care of this. So again, if it's a parakeet, it's a little bit easier. What if it's a horse? What if it's a horse and you don't have a stable? Like, what if you find a horse? There you could drive in Florida and to a bunch of places. There people have horses. And what if there's a wild horse that runs by you and what happens, right? Or like a bird is easy, right? Or an object is easy. So it gets more and more complicated. What else are we finding if you pick apart the text? Yeah.
I'm struck by the words astray, ignore, and indifferent.
Okay, good. So astray, ignore, indifferent. Those three words. All right, good.
The idea of those are all actions of just, I don't know, gluttony, perhaps, or of like not caring. Like it's all saying you cannot go astray, you cannot ignore it, you cannot be indifferent. Those are all, in essence, double negatives, right?
Okay.
That idea being that we are called to act, like physically act. We can't just go, not my problem.
Right. So beautiful. I would say the Jewish text in general doesn't allow indifference. It is a word we don't like. There is nothing in Judaism that you really should be indifferent about. So you shouldn't just let it go by. Why would you not? Why is the text telling you, and I want you now to go back to that feeling that you felt when you lost something. Why does the text say, don't remain indifferent? Yeah. Yes, exactly. Because you have also felt that like, oh, wait a second. Oh my gosh, where? Well, it was just in my pocket. I just had it. I just had it. Where is it? Right? Where did it go? And then everything stops, right? The world stops. You look around. You ask people who you don't know. The people who are with you, you ask them. Like the world literally like, it slows down because you lost this object suddenly, and then you retrace your steps. And whatever you were doing before is gone because all you want to do is find this object, or if it's $1,000 that was on your key ring or in your keychain or in your pocket or your wallet, you also want to find your wallet because you want to find the $1,000, right? So it's the necklace that you got from your great-great-grandma versus the whatever the $1,000 in your wallet that you still want to be able to find. So, okay, what else? Yeah.
In that same vein, I'm a little curious because all of this deals with either livestock or clothes.
Okay.
Like we completely carve out this little part in verse 3 that says garment.
Uh-huh.
Out of nowhere, right? Like the whole rest of it is about livestock, and then we just carve out this little 4-word phrase with dealing with garment.
Right. So, okay. So what Ian is saying is that most of the text talks about livestock, but there's this one little spot that talks about your garment, right? So why is that thrown in there? Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Ah, like what? Like what? Find someone's what? Mortar shell, you said? Great. Okay, so it's interesting. That is an interesting reach. Thank you, doctor, for that interesting reach. So I will tell you this. Now, what's that? Yeah. Look, out of all the options you could have given me, that's not the one I thought you would have chosen. However, that's the one you chose, and let's go with that one. So I will say that's the reason why the rabbi sat down and they talked and they talked and they talked and they asked a question. What if it's, why is there only one little part about the garment in here? Are they talking about an actual only garment? What about if you find someone's mortar shell, and it's dangerous and it could explode and blow up half the village? Is it become our job to return it to the thing? Is it also, what if we all have mortar shells? How do I know it's your mortar shell versus what if I live in an area that there are fallen mortar shells? And or there are, Harry's having a lot of fun with this because he's also wondering, friend, who you're sitting next to, hey friend, how is it possible, Bob, that you chose the word mortar shell? And Harry's really enjoying this. I can see Harry. He's losing it behind the mask. He's losing it. So those of you who don't know, he's losing it behind the, okay. So, No, I actually don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you, and neither do the rabbis, because that's why there's volumes and volumes, because then they start to ask the question about how do you know, by the way, that it's your mortar shell? How do you know it's your ox? So that's another question. How do you know it's your ox? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Correct. Nope. Doesn't say anything about that. It says it's your responsibility. So if you have a horse and that horse is with you, you're obligated to feed that horse. Ah, interesting. So it's not written here, but the text goes on to say, by the way, in the Mishnah and the Talmud, you can start to use that horse if it'll help you, because now you're spending your money on a horse and you think to yourself, all right, I'm going to keep taking care of this horse, but I need the horse to make the money back for me, and I might as well have the work. Yeah. Oh, could it be an expansion of so this idea of you should love your neighbor as yourself? I'm positive that it's connected to that, because what's the overarching statement about love your neighbor as yourself? What's the overarching statement essentially? Who said that? Who said community? Oh, you said goodwill, and you said community? Who said community? Someone, you said community. All right, exactly. All of this is about your community, right? So you have to take care of this animal because you want someone else to also. If I lost my watch, I want you to feel as upset about it as I do, meaning we should all collectively help you and understand that I have lost something before, an object that was important to me. I have had that pit in my stomach. And by the way, text will go on and on and on and on to discuss this. And there is a term for that feeling, believe it or not. And then the rabbis go on to say, are there objects that someone's not going to have that feeling? So if you're not going to have that feeling, I actually get to keep it, the text says. For instance, if you lose a quarter, right? Let's say you had 4 quarters in your pocket, and you get home and now there are 3 quarters in your pocket. Let's go even lower. Let's say there were 4 pennies in your pocket. Now there are 3 pennies in your pocket. Is it safe to presume you are not going to retrace your steps to find your penny? Also, how do you identify your penny versus someone else's penny? So therefore, I can presume I can keep the penny I find on the floor, and I feel okay about it. And I also feel, and I'm guessing how you feel, which is weird, but the text says this, I'm going to presume you feel fine about me finding this penny. Ah, here are the hands. Yes.
Say it's something of more value than a penny.
Aha.
To what extent is someone obligated to attempt to find the owner?
Excellent. So now as the value goes up, or it looks like, let's say, it's a very, 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 very old watch with the glass that's broken. It looks a little, it's not functional, but there's an engraving on the back, right? So now you think, now I'm really stuck. It's a broken watch. It doesn't keep time. There's an engraving, though, and it says, like, to blah, 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 love grandma. And now you think, oh my gosh, someone might really want this watch. Even though it's not functional, they probably want the non-functional watch because it says love grandma on it and it has a meaning to it. So now the rabbis have the discussion, and my answer for you is, I don't know, because that's the discussion. The discussion now is over and over and over and over. How far do I have to wait? How far do I have to wait? Do I keep it in perpetuity? Do I, by the way, what you are obligated to do is post pictures of it all around town to say, lost watch. If you lost a watch, contact me, right? And then the rabbi is going to say, how much of the description do you want to put on there? Because if it's a Rolex, maybe I'm coming and saying, oh, it's mine, and then Ian is coming and saying, no, it's mine, because it's a Rolex, right? So how do you identify said object? All those little details, by the way, discussed in text, all from these 4 verses about the law. So I saw a bunch of hands. Yeah, please. Yes. 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 Yeah. Right, so interesting. So if you find a beautiful necklace and you hold on to it, can you wear it while you're holding on to someone, holding on for? Because what if you're wearing the necklace and it's really a one-of-a-kind necklace and someone says, hey, that's my necklace, right? So is that okay? I'd say probably okay, because if you're okay with taking off the necklace and saying, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I found its owner, Mazel Tov, here it is, I've just been wearing it and taking care of it, then I guess you get into the nuances of each of the conversations, and we'd have to have the conversation. And it's also about, by the way, how you feel, which is what the rabbis say. The rabbis, and you have to guess how you feel, and you also have to guess by the type of person you are, because another type of person might find $1,000 and be like, this is mine. I don't care. I'm not calling anyone. I'm not posting it anywhere. I'm not doing that. I found this gold necklace. I found a Rolex. I'm not telling you. I want it for myself. That's not what the Torah is saying, but there's still a window for you to act that way, right? So, yes. I don't know. I think that's a great example. I don't know. I think then it comes down to how you're going to connect to the statement, right? How are you going to have, like, is it, oh my gosh, you found this necklace. I know it's not yours because, right, I guess it's about how you identify the object. You must have found it because I also found it. So I guess it's a conversation with those two people, the two finders, I guess, to decide how to display it or how to still try and get it to its proper owner. So I guess it's about morality also because, again, you have to have the conversation about what you're going to do with it. Yes? Yes. Yes. Yes, you can eat the yes you can eat the cow because eventually if the owner shows up, you'll say, look, I had the cow for 4 years. I've been waiting for you. I knew it was not my cow, but I needed it. I needed it to eat it. And then that owner, then you have the dialogue with the owner, and then the owner, you sort of have whether you're obligated some kind of financial. You give them some kind of you pay them somehow for whatever the usage is of the cow of the time. You know what I mean? So it's all in the business of that spot also on how you find lost objects. By the way, I'm also not the expert on this, so I'm not a Baba Metzia expert. But yes, yeah.
Well, I wanted to get back to Jay's point and a little to Marsh's point as well. This principle of like the undue burden that we see in verse 2.
Yeah.
If they don't live near you, it is to a certain extent finders keepers. Like unless you seek them out, there is responsibility on the person who lost the thing as well to seek them out. Now, if we're talking,
Yes.
this is Jay in Broken Sound. Okay, I'll go over and get there to his house. But if it's my sister in New York, she lives too far, and I don't have a responsibility to go there. She has a responsibility to come to me to retrieve the item.
So it's a very complicated question you ask and statement. Again, it comes down to this feeling, right? If you think that someone is searching for the item, then you have to continue to wait and post and hope that you can unite the item with its owner. It's about this feeling, but you have to, and it's not your feeling, you're guessing the feeling of the person, which is so odd, but it's your job to feel the other person's feelings. Because if you think that they have that anguish, that drop, like Linda said at the beginning, right? If you think that they still like day after day after day have that drop, and you're guessing that they do, then your job is to figure out how to get it to them at some point. Yeah, Bob, I think you had your hand up, yeah. And then Ron. Correct. You are right. Everything you said is just right. Right? So that's why we're in a community, and so you would hope that the value system would be approximately in the same vicinity as your value system. Yeah.
There's something resonating about the transience of ownership. And what really do we own? Why is there such a big fuss over this about something we found rather than something we earned, and something we worked for and achieved, rather all this stuff about, I found this and whose is it? So the garment may be the garment that someone needs to wear to shul, and it's so sacred, and the garment may be a shmata that, again, all relative to value. But I think respect and community and all this attention to the material things and the relative ownership, it's almost driving me nuts because it's not important. It's really what you said. It's about how did I behave and react to this, and how do I respect myself and feel when I look in the mirror at night, did I do the right thing?
I love that. So yes, I think the underlying current is, did I do the right thing? And I hear you say, right, that it's not, shouldn't be just about the material object. But what if you find 50 bales of hay? I'm just saying, you found 50 bales of hay, and they're exactly the same cubes, and it says, and the bales of hay are wrapped, and there are initials on those bales of hay. It looks as if they fell off of a truck, right? And now you think, though, 50 bales of hay are objects, but that's a lot of money, perhaps, for the farmer who's taking that down the street. So now you have an obligation to deal with 50 bales of hay. So, right, so there's both. There's the feeling and the idea of community, but also the material object, because you have to think to yourself, 50 bales of hay that have initials on every bale that are how they're wrapped is an obligation for you to take care of, because that's also perhaps the livelihood of someone. So now you're also stuck on that. Now your morality is at play, and the object is at play, because you found it, and you know, by the way, it's not yours. And you also know it's identifiable, and you know how it can be identified, and it's in a special, right? So it's another conversation about when you find an object. Like, was the object look like it was strewn about? If it was strewn about, then maybe you have a less obligation than if something is all cube put together, has a name on it, right? If you find a wallet that just has no markings in a wallet and there's $1,000 in there, it's a lot more complicated than finding a wallet that has an ID and credit cards and an address and a phone number, right? It's harder to steal that one or keep that one because you feel like all I have to do is call this person and say, I found your wallet, right? So, all right, there are a couple of hands, but I'm determined to finish in 4 minutes, to keep into my half an hour. I'm still within my half an hour. Muchnik has no faith at all in me, but I have 4 minutes. Yes? Everyone's going back to what Linda said at the beginning. God, Linda. I'm just kidding. Yes, absolutely. Yes. That's the underlying factor. We hope that everyone would go out of their way to post this. I will tell you, if you want to purchase this adorable, it's a children's book, but it is a fabulous, adorable book called Found. It is so cute. It's by, if you have grandchildren, this is an incredibly great book to buy. It's from PJ Library, so it's a nice Jewish book source. And it's called Found, and it's literally about these 4 verses. It's about Bear, who finds a bunny, a stuffed bunny. It's a bear who's walking around, and he finds a stuffed bunny, and he plays with stuffed bunny. He puts bulletin boards of who's missing a bunny, who's missing a stuffed bunny, like a stuffed bear of a bunny. And then he's like, Bear plays with bunny, Bear hangs out with bunny, Bear is on the tire swing with Bunny, and while Bear is walking with Bunny, Moose shows up and says, Bunny! Yay, I found Bunny. And so it's the feeling that Bear has because he got attached to Bunny. And I won't ruin the ending because it's a really special ending, but it's literally like a preschool level book, but hits this. It couldn't have hit it more perfectly because that's why PG Library books are so good, because it takes a piece of Torah or a piece of text and makes it exactly like it's supposed to hit. And so now I want you to all, by the way, go and buy this book called Found. It's so cute. And it hits this perfectly about this piece of text. Yes?
I know that we're like wrapping up our conversation and we're not going to get to 22 because I have like a lot of bad thoughts on chapter.
On the chapter 22? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we talk for a sec about verses 6 and 7?
No.
Okay.
No. Nope. I love you, but no. Yes. What's that? Say that again. Yes, we can do that. Not yours, but hers. Yes. 1 and 4. Yes. Right. So I think the first one is saying you have to see. First of all, you're identifying that it's gone astray, right? And you can't ignore it. Your job is to take it back to the owner. So I think that's the first part. Yeah. What's that? Yeah. Are you talking about the Hebrew or the English? It seems the same structure. O shoro, or his fallen, or his ox. Makem takim imo. Yeah. Oh, imo. You must help him raise it. Oh, you're talking about that part? Oh, okay. Yeah. If you see your fellow's ass or oxen on the road, do not ignore it. Yeah, you must help him raise it. Meaning, I think that means that it's not yours. It's actually his, but you must help him raise it. Like, raise it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Last statement. You started and you get to end.
Well, what I'm thinking is that the lesson maybe from this is really, it's a tug of war of Yetzer Hara, Yetzer Hatov, because the feeling I first spoke of is the person who's just lost it.
Right.
They feel.
Yeah.
But when you find something, if it happens to be something that looks or seems valuable to you, I think it's human nature. The first thing you're going to want to do is, wow, I got lucky. I want to keep it.
Yeah.
So I think it's just bringing to the fore that struggle that people always have.
Absolutely.
Between doing the right thing. So so I think it's an important lesson. I don't usually find, for me, this really touches me.
Yeah.
Because in an odd way, it really is very basic to good and evil.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, because you have that inclination, right? But I think what it's also telling us eventually, this doesn't do it enough. Eventually, it's going to tell us and help us to identify the idea of how people can identify their lost objects too. So if you also lose an object that's not identifiable, it also changes the perception of the object, right? So $50, someone's upset that they lost $50, but it's pretty much yours, right? I mean, because they can't come back and say, that's my $50. Prove it. Tell me the serial number of the $50 in your wallet. Like, you don't know that. Then you also you feel a little bit bad, like, wow, someone dropped $50, because I feel pretty happy to find $50. But I don't feel as bad than finding a diamond ring. A diamond ring for me on the ground somewhere versus $50 is totally different feelings, right? At least for me, $50 there's a good chance this is my $50. The diamond ring for me is, oh my God, this is not my diamond ring. I got to find out whose diamond ring this is, right? So it's, or something even equivalent financially. Like I did 50 in a diamond ring. Those aren't, diamond rings are $50. So whatever the equivalent is, Also, cash verse that is that texts will go on and on and on and discuss this. So, nice short chat, everybody. I was pretty close. How far was I? I was only 3 minutes. 3 minutes over. That is. Thank you very much. 3 minutes over. Thank you. Whew. I need a nap after that, but I was tired. But 3 minutes, which means that I could do it. I guess it's possible. It's just there's the book. Oh, I miss it. I miss the book closing. I miss Robin with the Velcro opening over and over again. Velcro, 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 Velcro. Cantor Mashnik is going to be chanting some Torah for us right from the Torah scroll. Isn't that right, Cantor Mashnik? Are you reading from the beginning?
Yeah, I'll read
21:10 through 14. You can put that mic on so we can hear you. It's still not working. Is it on? You turn it off and turn it on. It worked like that. Yeah, turn it off, turn it back on. It worked like that yesterday. All right, now press the button. Still no? How about the other one? No? Okay. Anyone want to do the Aliyah this morning? From your seat?
Check,
yes.
test.
Oh, there you go. It's right at the beginning. It's the beginning of the Torah portion. 250. 250. Sorry. 250. Tell me your Hebrew name again. Tamod Malka Bat David Torah. No, Baruch Hu. Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Vaed. Amen.
Amen. Ki tetzei lemilchama al oivecha untano Adonai Elohecha beyadecha v'shavita shivyo v'ra'ita bashivya eshet yefat toar v'chashakta hava v'lakachta lecha leisha v'heveita el toch beitecha v'yilcha et rosha ve'asta et siparneha והסירה את שמלת שביה מעליה, וישבה בביתך, ובכתה את אביה ואת אמה ירח ימים. ואחר כן תבוא אליה ובלתה, והייתה לך לאישה, והיה אם לא חפצת בה, ושילחת לנפשה, ומחור לא תמכרנה בכסף, לא תתעמר בה, תחת אשר עינית.
Amen. Yishkoach. Yishkoach on the brachot. Yishkoach in the.
Are we lifting dressing? Or
It's a little Torah reading. What's that?
Are we lifting and dressing?
No, we just leave it. We'll do it later. Yeah. Sorry about the small section of the Torah. We left out a lot. And a lot of it is lovely, and a lot of it is not so lovely. I stopped at a very specific spot before it got in a little ugly section. So your homework, oftentimes on Shabbat, go home, relax, eat something, and read this Torah portion, and cry a little, scream a little, be frustrated a little bit. It is, are you going to teach about it a little bit tomorrow? That's true, yeah, to the religious school kids. Leave out some of the stuff from that section that we missed, yeah. So there's a lot of beautiful stuff too, though. There's a whole thing. I figured if we have time, which we didn't, but of course I'll talk about a parapet, which is also a very similar concept, Right? A parapet's that little fencing around your roof. So that's also an interesting concept that fits in pretty nicely into communal idea that why we put a parapet on, why on my roof. It's not on your roof, it's on my roof, but it protects you from a lot of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like wearing a mask. Not touching that though. Okay. We are going to, with our Torah our Torah service still happening, we are going to think of those in our community who are in need of healing, physical, emotional, or spiritual healing. If there is someone that you are thinking of and you wish to share their name, please share their name at this time.
Francie Kramer.
We continue with Misha Berach, 253.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimoteinu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Beirach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha Lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Conclude our Torah service on page 256.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskam Shemo levado Hodo al eretz v'shamayim Vayarem keren le'amo Tehila lechol chasidav Livnei Yisrael am kerovo Hallelujah, Hallelujah. Eitz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar deracheha darchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh chadesh yameinu chadesh yameinu kikedem.
Tomorrow, starting at 10:30, is our food truck frenzy. So you're all welcome to join us if you want to come. It's from 10:30 till 1 p.m. tomorrow on campus. I think we have at least five. I think we have 5 trucks. I think 4 or 5 trucks. Plus Neil, our VIP catering is going to have not a truck because he's right here, but he's going to have some food too. I think he's doing grilled cheese and tomato soup, like little to-go things. So you should come and hang out. It's outdoors, so everything's outdoors. So we're going to try and be as safe as possible as we gather. You can still come if you haven't signed up. You have to register. So just make sure to register for it. And we'd love to see you, starting at 10:30 till 1 o'clock. We're gonna stick with the in-person for the 8:30s for a little bit. We'll see how it goes, and we'll see. We'll see. Well, it worked out okay. Everyone's here, so it's good. Yes, Susie.
Please bring school supplies to donate and also food for the little pantry.
Nice. So school supplies and food for the little pantry. When you show up tomorrow, yes.
Has there been any determination of the 2 p.m. service?
Oh, great question. For Rosh Hashanah. So looks like it's going to stay. The only one in mild jeopardy is the Rosh Hashanah 2 p.m. The Yom Kippur 2 p.m. is going to stay, for sure. Rosh Hashanah is currently still a go. We're going to probably make the final evaluation this week. It's still a go. So, yes. Well, we're asking because the numbers are the lowest for the 3rd service Rosh Hashanah morning. So, that's why. But everything's a virtual option for everything. We're going to have the live stream for every service the whole time, all the way through. So, yes. And there's no registration necessary, by the way, for 2nd day Rosh Hashanah. So if you wish to come 2nd day Rosh Hashanah, there's no registration necessary. Just masks. So, okay. Anything else? Ken Machinik, do you want to say anything? Nothing at all? Fabulous. All right. Aleinu can be found on page 282. And together we stand.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Yatom, to Warner's Kaddish. We think of Edwin Friedrich, who is in the period of Shiva, the immediate 7-day mourning period, in the period of Shloshim, the immediate 30-day mourning period, Russell Radke, and our yortzeits that occur for us this week: Ruth Adkins, Henry Barak, Julio Barrios, Joan Berger, Alex Coles, Bruce Cowan, Elaine Dugoff, Sanford Dworkin, Esther Elias, Etta Fruman, Edith Goldberg, Bernice Goodkin, Nathan Hine, Bernard Hildebrand, Mo Isaacs, Barbara Kaplan, Bernardo Kernos, Robert Cushis, Fred Krupp, Grace Lotker, Elaine Orville, Sylvia Picatz, Hildegrand Pythian, Bertram Poses, Stanley Rich, Molly Rosenberg, Mary Ross, Amelia Solomon, Norman Shanborn, Charles Sherman, Lenore Siegel, Joyce Slotsky, Pessis, Edward Stein, Elise Stavsky, Benjamin Tanner, Howard Torn, Willio Tassani. To those names, who had any name that you would like to add. Kadisha Tom Mourners Kaddish 294. Yitkadal v'ikadash shmei Rabbah, ba'alma livrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'b'chay dechol beit Israel, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mavorach le'olam olmei olmaya, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה בחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. The one who creates harmony on high, bring peace to us and to all Israel. As together we say, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. We are going to conclude on this fine Shabbat morning with what, Cantor Muchnick?
Adon Olam.
Adon Olam. What a fabulous and wonderful choice. I do love Adon Olam. I believe it is on page 321.
Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Leitnasa, V'chefso kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, Adon Olam, Hashem Alach, B'terem kol Yitzir Nivra, Leitnasa, V'chefso kol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא להינשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית בלא העוז והמשרה אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא והתנשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלי בצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא להינשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא בידו אף כדרוכי בית ישן ועירה ואמרוכי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא להינשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא אדון עולם השם מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא להינשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך אזי מלך אזי מלך אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
That's fun.
Can't do that on Zoom.
Can't do that on Zoom. That's fun. You want to Kiddush, Motzi? Sure. All right, we're on page 300 if you want to keep following along. 300. Do you want to do a Shamru or just, yeah, okay.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת. Can't hear you, Harry. לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת
לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. על כן ברך אדוני יום שבת ויקדשהו, ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. Amen.
It's better than yesterday. That's delicious.
Comparison yesterday, not at all. Yeah, I'm moti. Ta-da!
No, Walla Sala.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Chalam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Adonai oz lamo yiten, Adonai v'rech damo v'shalom. May God give strength unto our people, continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace. Shabbat shalom, everybody. A wonderful Shabbat shalom. So nice that you're here. I believe we have a little challah for everyone. So on your way out, there is a little wrapped challah for you to enjoy on your walk to your car, in your car.